Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Wisdom Rising podcast. I am joined here with Christine Renee today for what I think is going to be a really unique podcast episode. So often, you guys hear us come on to talk about cord cutting and spirit teams and the chakras and personal development and all of these really beautiful topics. And today, we're kind of switching it up. Today, we're coming to you guys with this message and this energy that we've been feeling as a team here at Moon Rising and that we really want to bring forward. So, this moment of vulnerability and openness, and just really an invitation to grab your tea, grab your coffee, come sit down and have a conversation with us. Like, we're not going to be giving you guys advice or talking about a specific topic until later in the show today. But this first half of the episode is really just going to be us diving into where we're at, this really open and honest conversation. And, I was really reminded of why we're doing this, why we have this special episode coming out today in a class with our Soul Rising students this morning, where we stepped into our sacred circle and the students were just sharing about how intense the energy has been lately in the world, whether you look at it from an astrological perspective and the Mercury retrograde conjunction that we have, or is it Mars? One of them is in conjunction. We've got a 6 planetary lineup happening on the astrological side of things. And then we also have, for us in the US, we have the inauguration coming up and all of that. And there's just been such a collective energy of really intense energy moving through us. And it was really an honor to get to come into this space with students this morning and be reminded that there's so much more to how we work with ourselves and how we work with energy and how we move through this than what we see a lot in mass consciousness. And knowing that there is so much fear right now and there is so much heaviness and so many people are experiencing that, like, self-doubt, and it's something that we're all moving through together.
Yeah. Well, and there's some really big, heavy events happening. Like, I got back from my travel time and realized that LA had been on fire for days. And I had no idea because I was out of the country and I wasn't really on my cell phone. And to come back to just the heaviness that we have people dying, the fires are just consuming everything and everyone's watching and not really sure how to help or support. And just that there's just a bigger heaviness going on. And I was tuning in the other day to Moon Rising Shamanic Institute and realizing the heaviness that she was feeling, like as her own entity, while this collective consciousness was heavy, and going, whoa, let's bring this up. We got to move her up and out of this fourth dimensional heaviness and into her light, into her power. And I did this beautiful visualization. I was doing a shamanic journey and I was doing the healing work with the business entity. So if you've never done that before, it can be really profound. It can be really amazing. It's something that we teach our practitioner students and our advanced students. And so I was doing this healing work and recognizing, I was like, you know what? It's not just Moon Rising that needs to rise up. It's all of us light workers. Every light worker business needs to be risen up out of this heaviness. And I could just see the energy of Moon Rising, this beautiful glowing orb of a moon that was shooting rays to all of the light workers, all of the healers, all of these in alignment businesses that wanted to be lifted and gracefully up out of the clouds, out of the darkness, and into their own power and light. And we can make this beautiful energy light grid. That this isn't about competition. This is about, we are in collaboration with divine, with the angels, with the Pleiadians, with whomever is ready to help support the spirit of the earth heal and transform and transmute this darkness, this heaviness. And it was really awe-inspiring. Like, from that moment, I was like, and this is why we do what we do. It's not about competition. It's not about like, it's this way or it's the only way. It's that we are here to enlighten and love on the earth. And she is so worthy of that love and attention. And so I go back to remembering how Moon Rising came to be. And it's like, from the earth to the cosmos, it's this connection with both. And how can we support both? And the answer is you. It's our students, it's our listeners, it's our the people who are ready and open to do this healing work. And it's such an honor to be in this space.
And I think that's just it, is that message and that idea of bringing in the light. So many of us, I mean, I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, right, you've probably felt this feeling that so many light workers right now and healers and shamanic practitioners and our students and everyone is feeling of this pull, that this knowledge that, yeah, there is this really heavy stuff happening right now. You know, we have the fires, we have everything happening politically, we have countries going into war and all of these things, and yet there's this pull within us, this understanding that there's this deeper purpose, that there's an energy supporting us, that we have this divine connection. And I think so many people are looking to do that work of figuring out, how do we reconcile that darkness with the light that we know exists. And that was, to your point about moon rising, that was the original intention of why we were bringing this forward, is so that we can learn how to reconcile the light and the shadow together as a community. And it's amazing that there is this way of perceiving. And it's so funny, because before we hit record, Christine and I were talking, and I was saying, I wish there was a way to share this message, which is ironic considering that we're recording a podcast on it. But this idea of, like, there are so many things that I wish I could tell people in mass consciousness, that I wish could just become integrated into the mainstream like that. And I know so many of you listening have this thought too, of, I wish there was a way to share that this heaviness is just one side of the coin, that there's a way of perceiving this, of coming back into connection with, for the fires, for example, that the earth knows how to cleanse herself. The earth knows how to use that element for good, that there is this higher spiritual purpose for what's happening. And yes, we should offer our prayers to the people who are hurting and dying, and the animals who are hurting and dying, and we can use our physical resources to support that. But that we don't have to stay stuck in the fear and the doubt and the blame and the, who did this and why did it happen and who's it impacting, and this kind of hamster wheel of negative energy that we get ourselves in, because we feel like it's out of our control. There's so much right now that leaves us feeling like we're not in control, but it's coming from that mental space of fear of what's going to happen next, and are we going to be safe, and is the world going to be okay, and all of these things. And I was doing a shamanic journey on this with our practitioner students a couple of weeks ago. We did a shamanic journey to the energy of 2025. And for those of you who are listening and don't know what a shamanic journey is, it's a way of going into a meditative state to connect with spirit, to connect with your energy, so that you can receive messages directly from God, source, spirit, universe, your spirit guides, your power animal, whatever words resonate for you, but so that you can receive this divine inspiration directly. And so we were doing this journey to this concept of the energy of 2025. And what I was seeing was, I could see myself walking down the street in this really busy city. And it was like, I could see, if you've ever seen Inception, the movie, where they're walking and there's the two versions of the city. There's the one on top, and it was all beautiful and peaceful and flowering, and the energy was just like rosy and vibrant, and everybody was so happy and connected and loving. And then on the flip side of it, it was like everything was crumbling, and there was destruction, and there was fire, and people were dying, and everyone was hurting. And it was this understanding that both of those realities are equally true. Both of those realities have weight. And what we're walking in right now, the reason that we have this uncertainty, the reason that we feel so out of control, is we're being called to ask ourselves, which reality is it that we want to walk in? Which of those two do we want to call in? Do we want to bring in, knowing that they're both valid? And this is something that I'm so grateful to have shamanic work in my own life to walk through, because in shamanic work, we have this understanding that there are different levels of consciousness. There's ordinary reality consciousness. So what's actually physically happening around us in the 3D reality. So the fires or the political things or all of this is happening in ordinary, quote unquote, consciousness. And then we have shamanic consciousness or spiritual consciousness, which is where we can see what's happening in the spirit side of things, what's happening in the energetic background. What is the purpose? Where is this flowing? Where earth has a consciousness and source has a consciousness, and everything has an energy and a reason and a purpose. And that ability to shift out of fear and out of doubt and into this idea that what if there was a different way to perceive this? What if there was a way that the light could shine through? What if there was a way that we could choose to view that city blossoming and blooming and full of light? And it's one of those things where I think so many people will listen to this and think, well, yeah, that would be nice, but it's not real, right? It's not real. And it's like, this is a theme that we've been talking about a lot with our students in class lately, of this idea of our soul's truth, and that we are these spiritual beings who have come to earth to have this experience, that our soul knows that truth, right? We hear this all the time, this idea of the wisdom is within you, that our soul has this truth. And then we have our mind, and we love as a society to pretend that our mind has the answers. We love to think that if we just logic it through, that if we think about it enough, that our mind can figure it out. And we almost give our mind this kind of consciousness. Like it's this, like we are our minds. And it's like, no, our mind is a translator. If we think of it like a radio, the radio is just picking up the sound waves and translating it into something that you can hear. That's all your mind is doing, is it's pulling the energy of your experience, pulling the energy from your soul, the energy of what's happening around you, and translating it into thoughts, into feelings, into this thing that you're then experiencing. And that mind can be mistuned, right? Sometimes the radio has a lot of static in it. And right now, my goodness, our minds are filled with so much static, with so much fear and so much doubt. And it's all completely valid, right? That static, we can hear it, we can feel it, it's valid. And there's another way, there's a deeper calling coming from our souls of saying, hey, what if we could use this as a chance to connect? What if we could use this as a chance to come into this community space? What if we could come back into knowing that you have a truth within you? You have a knowing within you of how your light is meant to shine, of the fact that there's more to this than meets the eye, of the fact that when we come together in harmony, instead of casting around fear and blame and feeling separate, when we can come back into that feeling of being connected, that there's something to that. And I wish that there was a way to just hold up that light and let everybody be able to see it and feel it for themselves. And I think it's one of the most frustrating parts of my job, the fact that knowing that, I've mentioned it many times on the podcast, that idea of capital T truth versus lowercase t truth, that no matter what we say today, no matter what comes through in our words, each and every one of you listeners is going to interpret this with your own experiences and beliefs and energy. And you're going to take it in exactly as you need to, but it's going to come through different for everybody. And there's no way for me to just take that capital T truth, that ultimate truth of all things, and be able to pass it to the entire world, because it's something that you have to experience. It's something that you have to be willing to question what's happening in front of you and see if you can go in deeper, see if you can cut through another layer, see if you can come back into connection with your soul. And it's this incredibly frustrating and humbling experience to be able to sit here and know that what we have to offer, what we're doing here at Moon Rising, isn't saying it's our way or the highway. And it's not saying this is how you should be seeing the world. And it's not saying, well, you should just, think positively and everything's going to go great. It's saying there's a deeper truth here, and I can express how I perceive it, right? How I perceive that big capital T truth, or what I call my lowercase t truth. I can give you my mind's translation of my soul's truth. But at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to be able to find your soul's truth is by walking the path, is by asking those questions, is by having a space where you can explore and be vulnerable and be honest with yourself and come into the space of, yeah, it is heavy. And I have this deeper voice telling me there's something else, but I don't know what to do about it. Where can I find the people who can help me? Where can I find the energy that can help me go deeper instead of clinging more to the static? And it's like, that's what I want to be doing with the podcast and with our community and with our courses, is it's this idea of it's never going to be our way or the highway, but it's this idea of can we help each other to understand that there's this entire shamanic state of consciousness. There's this spiritual way of seeing the world. There is that rosy and blooming perspective of our present moment that we can all find our own paths to. And can we open up a space where you can find that for yourselves, because it's never going to be the same for everybody. And that's so incredibly difficult to wrap your mind around as a teacher, I think, is this understanding that the only person I can do this for is me. And I hope that by doing that, by sharing things like this, by having conversations like this, it opens up this understanding that we're no better than anybody else. We don't have any, special knowledge that sets us apart. We just have come into connection with our soul and with our truth. And we want to open up a space for people to be able to do that, because when you're connected, we had a student today talking about how, for years he's been in this deep grief cycle over this profound loss that he had in his life. And by stepping into this space and being open, he doesn't necessarily agree with everything that we say, right? He doesn't take it on. He questions everything. But by working in this space, by walking through this, he's not only been able to process the grief, but he's actually come into this space of saying that he's satisfied, that he knows that no matter what's happening in life, he's okay. The world is okay. The energy is okay. And I was just sitting on the call today thinking about how much of a different place our world would be if people knew that they had the ability to access that kind of peace, that it wasn't just set aside for this select few, or that it wasn't a delusion, that it's not delusional to find those feelings in the midst of everything that's happening. It's just a different way of living and perceiving life. And I wish that I could just hold that up and have that capital T truth be spread everywhere. But the best that we can do is say, are you willing to walk the path to find it in yourself? Are you willing to see things a different way? Because our world needs that. Our world needs the people who are willing to look for the light in the darkness, who are willing to reconcile the shadows and the light, who are willing to go in themselves and find their truth and say, it's okay if it doesn't match everybody else's. It's my truth, it's my power, it's my healing, and I'm worth stepping into that. And it's okay to step into that even in the midst of everything else that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there are so many souls who are stuck in the cycle of fear. And that's what we're fed. We're fed fear through media, through worry, through so much. And it's heavy. And when you can access a part of yourself that is your higher self, that is your capital T truth, that version of who you are that says, you know what, this feels scary. My ego and my subconscious says this is scary. Like, I don't know what this is going to mean for me. And we do it anyway and say, what if all the beauty that I want to welcome into my world is possible? Whether that is you developing an intuitive healing practice, or that you are content with yourself in the morning when you wake up after years of barely being able to get out of bed, or that you can sit in meditation and finally quiet your mind. Like, whatever your desired reality looks like, what if that was possible? What if that was possible? Because I really believe that that capital T truth sprinkles in all of these lower T truths that gives us these divine inspirations, these divine hints, these divine desires that are put in front of us for reason and purpose so that we can go after them. So if you have this yearning for something in your life and it's put there for a reason, that drive is there for a reason, that vision, that fantasy, that imagination is there for a reason. And what if we said yes to it? What if we said yes to it? I remember having a student years ago, and she was like, I know that I'm meant to be here, that I'm supposed to do this thing, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it. And I'm starting my practice, and I have a lot of healing to do, and I'm ready, but I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And it was amazing because she stepped in with such trust and such faith that not only did she pay off the program within 7 months, she was able to clear $50,000 worth of debt. Why? Because I feel like she was in alignment for the work. She was ready to transmute all of the heaviness and fear in her life and say yes to a magical, mythical life. And I think that's where I'm at, like where we can be is that, like, if I am magical, if I know that I'm a magical individual and I get to use my magic wand to say, this is my desired reality, and I'm going to put it out into the world, and I'm going to take those steps forward. And in the process going, oh, notice that heaviness there in my life, that that relationship or that food or how I feel after I watch that TV program or whatever it is. And we start going, I am worthy of more. I deserve more. I love me more than all of these other experiences that pull me down. And so, what if we could say, I love me more, and my desire is God given? And so, I'm going to say yes to me. And what does that look like? And so, it's really interesting when we meet students who have this cloud of heaviness, of shame, of fear, of guilt, of whatever it is over them. And they were like, yeah, this program would be amazing. And I'm like, hold up. Can we just explore what that but is? Because anything after it is lowering your self-worth. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Whatever your excuse is, there's that piece of it where my heart just wants to like give them a hug, because it's like there's part of them that doesn't feel worthy to do the healing work. And everyone is worthy to do the healing work. And we all have shadows and we all have darkness, and we all have the opportunity to step into a space of I'm worthy to heal. I'm worthy to love myself radically.
And that's just it, is it's this idea of in the spirit of being open and vulnerable for this podcast and this recording, is there's so much out there where it's like, as a business, you're supposed to pitch your offerings and you need to sell and you need to make this amount of money and all of this. And it's like, I hope that's never the energy that we bring forward, because there's nothing in this that we're trying to sell you on. There's nothing in this that we're trying to say our program is the only way that you can do this, or healing is only available if you walk the shamanic path. And I'm tired of doing that. It's like, it's this idea of there's nothing here to sell. We're not trying to get you guys into the program because we think everybody needs to take this course. It's that I firmly believe that if everyone on earth had a connection to the earth, if everyone on earth had a connection to spirit, if everyone on earth knew how to shamanic journey to find that truth that does exist within them in a tangible way, so we don't feel as lost and we don't feel small and we don't feel shame and guilt and less than. If everyone knew how to do their shadow work, be gentle with themselves through their triggers, work through their past traumas, and combine that with a connection to the earth, to spirit, and to ourselves through journey work to get those answers, we would live in a really different world. And that is why I do what I do. It's never to get people into the course or to get them to book a session or to make this amount of money. It's always because I really firmly believe that if everyone could embrace this in their own way, right, with using their own tools, giving you all of the options to be able to say what's going to work for you so that you can connect to your truth, so that you can connect to all of this, that healing is immense. Whether it's the student that I had in class today saying that, the only way that they healed through sexual abuse was by walking the shamanic path, or, we've had students who have been suicidal and worked through that by connecting with their spirit guides, or we have a student who, had MS for years and was able to get rid of her catheter just by doing this healing. And it's this idea of, we're not holding them up because look what's possible and look what we can do for you. It's look what's possible for you. Like this healing, this way of viewing the world, it's available. And it's such a motivation for me, knowing that there are so many people that don't know about this. There are so many people that don't feel connected to the earth. There are so many people that do feel lost because they don't feel a connection to something greater than themselves, whether you want to call that God, source, spirit, universe, whatever. There are so many people who know that they have wisdom inside them, but don't feel worthy to receive it, or feel like they can't trust it, or feel like people are going to think they're crazy, or whatever it is. And it's like, if we could create a space where this was the norm, where we can heal. And I remember we held a class on the night of the election, and it was such a stark contrast. It was like my husband's a journalist, so I have a lot of access to typical mainstream energy. And it was such a stark contrast, stepping back from him telling me about his day to stepping into class where there were these people who were like, it doesn't matter. we're staying in the light. We're going to go talk to our power animals and our spirit guides and get the higher perspective and receive healing energy. And suddenly there was this space where the energy wasn't heavy and there was light and people did experience healing and they had these profound experiences. And it's like that is what I want to be a part of. And the reason that we created this community, the reason that we created this course isn't so that we could be like, hey, look, here's a program for you to take. It's so that there could be a sacred space where this work could happen, because I firmly believe that it needs to happen. And, even on a personal level, like January is an anniversary for me of some really shitty stuff that happened in my childhood. And my nervous system remembers every January. And it's hard. Those triggers are hard. The panic attacks are hard. But because I have this connection to the earth and I have this connection to spirit and I have this connection to my spirit team, I've been able to walk through that this week with this understanding of, wow, that version of me has done so much healing. This version of me in the present is doing so much healing. This is just energy that's ready to come up so I can release it. It's ready for me to process it. I can lean into my spirit guides. I can lean into my connection to the divine. I can go hug a tree and know that she's helping me process this energy. And it's such a stark contrast to when I was in the middle of really intense CPTSD a few years ago, where this would have knocked me over. It would have completely absorbed all of me. And now it's like, no, I have this connection. I have this awareness. And that's the thing, is healing doesn't mean that your triggers are never going to happen, and I think so many of us feel like we're failing if we get triggered or if we have a panic attack or if we have a bad day. And it's like, no, the purpose of this isn't to be perfect. The purpose of this isn't to get over the bad emotions so that you don't have to burden anybody with them ever again. The purpose of this is so that when those come up, we can move through them. We can allow that soul, our soul, to sing its truth, to help us retune our mind so that we can come back into connection with what is true and what is healing and what is good and what we deserve and what we're worth, and that we are enough to have healing in the midst of the chaos. And I really firmly believe that if everybody had a space where we could come together as a community, where we could come together not just as a human community, but in communion with the earth and with spirit and with our spirit team, however that looks for you, that we would live in a very different world. And that's why we do what we do, and that's what comes through the course. And so it's like, I don't want to pitch it. I don't want to sell it to you. What I want is for anyone who feels like this is their path, who feels like that connection is what they're missing, anyone who feels small and alone and lost and overwhelmed and confused and like they aren't themselves, to be able to have a space to come home to. That's what soul rising is to me. It's a home, and it's this home that I find with my students, with our students, where we're able to sit with them and say, what was your experience and how can we transmute it? How can we bring it back into the light? How can we let our souls sing together so that that healing happens not just in ourselves, but in all of us, in the collective, knowing that the work that we're doing, it has an impact on the fires, and it has an impact on the politics, and it has an impact on everything, because we're creating this ripple effect, and that there's this different way of seeing it. And if you feel called to it, please come home. Come home to this space where you can heal, where you can be accepted, where this is available to you. And that's what soul rising is. That's what it is. No matter what we say or what our students say at the end of it, that is the energy of it, of this place to come home to yourself so that you can heal and live and experience that magical, mystical, worthy version of you that's just waiting for you.
And I love that, the idea of like we're coming home, because it's a remembering of who we are. It's remembering who your authentic truth is, your authentic voice, your authentic soulful space of what do you need? What do you want? What do you desire? And in that space, gosh, the world is so much easier, because if everyone was living from that space, it's just like a breath of fresh air. And so that's why, like, we've created this container so that you can remember who you are. You can remember your self-love. You can remember that you can radically choose you and be okay. Not just okay, but you can be in bliss. You can be in ecstasy. You can be in pleasure. You can be in joy. and you have your nervous system say yes, please, and thank you to that, right? Like so often our nervous system is so fried that even being able to enjoy pleasure, enjoy life can be triggering. And it's like, what if your nervous system was so healthy, so stable, so balanced, so aligned that you got to experience the fullness of life, the fullness of being in our human suit as a spiritual being? What would that look like? And so we have this beautiful container, and it goes really deep, and we dive into a lot of topics that will bring whatever is ready for healing to the surface. So we're not poking, we're not prodding, we're not doing it intensely on purpose. It's more of like, I'm showing up available for healing. And as we watch the pre-recorded videos, as we do these activating actions like Merkaba exercises or breath work or beating of the bones or chanting Ho'oponopono or whatever it is, like we have so many to really align with your unique self and what your unique practice will become for you. Not a cookie cutter versions of your mentors, but who are you and what does that feel good for you? And then have the calls. We have numerous calls every week to match our student schedule. We want to guarantee every student can come to at least one call. And I don't know any other program who has such dedication to their students to make sure their spiritual and emotional needs are being met during the program. And we want that for you. So yes, we're doing guided meditations and we're learning how to shamanic journey, and we're diving into childhood wounds and really learning how to alchemize all of that heaviness so that we can come to a place of radical self-love and radical self-care, and to say yes to joy, yes to pleasure, yes to life in its fullest. And so we want to invite you. It's not a push, it's not a sell. It's like, is it a calling? If it's a calling, if there's a place in you that says, this resonates, I want to know more, I want to feel into this deeper, I want to know what the back story is, I want to know what the courses are like, we have this space for you to either jump on a call with one of us, send me a voice memo on Facebook Messenger, like reach out, let's connect, let's chat, and know that, you know, we have a beautiful invitation for you to stay on after this recording, our little authenticity vulnerability space into. Last night we did a beautiful chakra spinning education plus experience, and we want to invite you to stay on for that so that you get a taste of like how we teach and techniques that we actually utilize and on the regular, and how impactful this is for our students. And know that you too can take time to do the work, to do the healing practices, and to say yes to you. Like, you're worthy of that. And we want you to see yourself as worthy of that, period.
Absolutely. And in that, knowing that we mean what we say, that we want everybody to be able to experience this. And so if you're, you know, if you are listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I don't have enough time or I don't have enough money, just book a call with us. We want everyone. If you feel the calling, we will find a way to make it work, no matter what that is. Because if you feel the calling, it is for reason and it is for purpose. And we want to lean into that trust that the universe is going to guide you towards this if it's meant for you. And if it's meant for you, the money and the time and all of it, we'll figure it out. But that first question is there a calling? And if there is, beautiful. We're so excited to walk this path with you, knowing that we know it's not the only way. It's not the only option out there. It's not that we want you to join our course because we want you to join our course. It's, is it a calling? Is this right for you? Is this the space where you want to step into that connection? And if it is, fantastic. And come join us in our Facebook group. You know, keep listening to our podcast. Come watch our YouTube videos. Come find that space that feels like home so that we can create this community of light, and we can create this community of connection and magic and mysticism and healing in the midst of all of this, because it is open and available to us. It's just like that dual version of the city that I saw on my journey of which level of consciousness do you want to feel into? And if you want to come join us in that space where we can find the bloom and we can find the healing and we can find the joy and we can let our souls sing together, then come join us. Come send us a message on Facebook if you want to talk with us. Come join our Facebook group and connect with all of the other amazing individuals we have in there. Come learn more about the course if that is what you want, if you're ready to walk that path. What's right for you? That is always going to be our open invitation to you, is what is right for you. And if you have questions, come share, because we really firmly believe in that power of community, and that when we come into this space together, when we step into this energy together, that healing is going to happen, not just for us, but for ourselves. And so knowing that that's where we're at, that we're sharing all of this because it's where we have found healing. It's where we have found peace. It's where we have found that joy. And we want to share a sacred space where people can find that for themselves if it feels right for you. That's why we do this, because we believe in it and we've experienced it. And if it's meant for you, we want you to have a space where you can come home. And that's the invitation. And so I hope that that has come through. I hope that this energy has offered some upliftment and hope in whatever energy you're experiencing right now. However, this heaviness that people are experiencing has been coming through for you. I hope that this is able to bring forward a little bit of joy and peace and connection and hope. And no matter how you choose to move forward, the idea that there is another way, that there is another option, that you are worthy of joy and healing and peace, even in the midst of this, and we can find it together. And so, with that said, I hope you do enjoy the second half of today's podcast, where we share this chakra spinning workshop, and you can get a chance to just come back into connection with your own energy, to shake off and let go of what's not serving you, and then bring in that healing and that light and that balance to your chakras. This is an energetic tool that you can use to really reset from this heaviness that you may have been collecting, and to really just tune back into yourself. And after you do this, after you come back into connection, you do the exercise and you take your deep breaths, we're here for you if you want to take it a step further. If you want to chat, if you want to share your experience, we're here for you. And we love you guys, and we love the earth, and we love spirit, and we just love all of it. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And we're so grateful to each and every one of you for creating a space where we're supported by our community, so that we can continue to do this work, so that we can continue to show up, so that we can continue to have podcasts and do courses and host the community in the Facebook group, because we believe in what we do, and we know that each and every one of you are worth it. And so we're grateful to you, and we love you, and we hope that this podcast is exactly what you needed today.
Absolutely. And my last thing I want to say is that know that we are pushing out our start date by 1 week. So we're going to be starting February 3rd, because we want to give you more time to feel into it, to say yes, and knowing that the orientation videos are going to start on time, so that you have extra time to move through the material if you've already joined or joining soon. And that we have payment plans, and we have a scholarship fund that we're starting. If you want to donate to the scholarship fund, please do. Know that this is my life. This is my world. There is no segmentation between my daytime life and my work life, because I don't see this as work. I see this as my life. And this is also my bread and butter. This is what pays my mortgage and my daughter's therapy and my son's college classes. And I absolutely have poured my heart and soul into Moon Rising Shamanic Institute. And we have to find that balance of how can we support our community, and how can we support ourselves through this work to pay our bills. And so know that we are doing our very best to offer payment plans that will work for you. And we also absolutely appreciate those who are saying yes to this experience at full price, so that we can really be financially funded to support the continued growth of our community, and doing the podcast and all of the free things that we do, as well as support this beautiful team of three amazing women who are showing up for you in this way.
Absolutely. And so we're just sending so much gratitude. Like Christine said, we are starting a scholarship fund so that those who are in financial need can join the course for a lower financial commitment. And if you want to donate to that, if you are excited about helping to support your community, to support fellow students, if you're joining the course, to be able to do this work, to spread this light, this energy, this healing further, please feel free to reach out to us about that, knowing that we really are community driven and community funded and supported, and we want to continue this cycle of reciprocity and gratitude and love with all of you on all levels. And we're just so grateful for this space to be able to do it. And so no matter why you're reaching out to us, just send us a message, say, hey, let's connect, let's spread this net and of light and healing a little bit further and a little bit further, because that's why we do what we do. And we're leaning into trust and open mind and open heart to welcome in anybody and everybody who's willing to do this work. And so if you feel the call to join our community in one way or another, welcome. Thank you for being here. We love you and we're excited to walk this path with you.
Thank you so much for all that you are and all that you are becoming. We love you guys.